I want to ask you about a bill that you're putting out on the floor about the Trust in Congress Act. It's to stop some of the nonsense that I don't understand that occurs in Congress now. We certainly saw the consequences of it for people that were briefed on COVID, and a lot of people made a lot of money on it with information they got from briefings. I never understood it when I was in Congress a quarter of a century ago. Why in the world should members of Congress be able to use information that they get to do what, in fact, I consider to be insider trading? It's ridiculous. Shouldn't all members of Congress be banned from trading stocks while they're serving in Congress?
Yes, yes, emphatic yes. And what you'll hear people say is, well, we have the Stock Act, which was put in place more than a decade ago. That bans insider trading. And what I will say to that is we take votes that move markets. We receive briefings that provide us with information, whether it counts as insider trading or not, information that helps define what the market will look like, what tragedies, what positive things, negative things. Certainly in the early days of the pandemic, we were receiving briefings about the potential ramifications of this virus that we, in January, February of 2020, only knew of was sort of percolating and making people sick in China. And we saw at that time members of the United States House and the United States Senate buying stock in pharmaceutical companies, buying stock in Clorox, buying stock in companies that we would come to realize really did very well in the time of a pandemic, making sure that those members of Congress did well at the time. And what is, I think, even worse than the fact that we saw those actions happening is that the American public said, yeah, okay, that's what they do. That's what they do. Of course, they're serving their own financial interests. And so what I have said to my colleagues who, don't see the need for this bill or have come to me and said, I am wholly ethical. I am not corrupt. Why are you trying to push this bill? I will say it doesn't matter what your actions actually are, what your intentions actually are. When the American people are saying that they don't trust members of Congress because they think that we might be putting our own interests before theirs, that is the time for us to take affirmative action. That is the time for us to say, you know what? Here is a way that I can help just a bit regain the trust of the American people. Members of Congress should not be able to sell or buy or trade individual stocks, nor should their spouses, nor should their dependent children. It's a very straightforward way to ensure that we can take that action to regain a bit of trust and never see another news article about this member of Congress buying this or selling that.
Yeah, and it's very straightforward. Whether members consider themselves to be ethical or not, they are putting themselves into a situation where there is an ethical conflict per se. On its face, if you're a member of Congress and you vote on issues that move the economy and you have stocks, it's a conflict of interest. Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It's the Trust in Congress Act. I hope everybody watching will call their members of Congress, call the White House, and support this really important legislation.